Brought to you by Penguin.
Soyangri Book Kitchen by Jee Hye. Read by Sofia Jin. Prologue. As the sun rose, the early morning sleet on the bare branches of the plum blossom trees melted into a glistening sheen. Under the pale sunlight, the surroundings seemed to brighten. While winter still held a tight grip, fresh spring air was beginning to seep through its cracks, heralding a new season. It was 2 p.m. Yoojin, who was inspecting the tiling work, suddenly looked up. A sweet, somewhat distant fragrance was drifting in from the windows which she'd opened as wide as possible to air out the smell of cement and paint from the new building. Outside, the trees, which stood firm, rustled their pale green leaves in greeting. Clusters of tight blossom buds hung from the shaded branches, while the ones that basked in the sunshine were plump with water, their droopy heads rising like children stirring from a nap. Yoojin walked over to the windows. With a gentle push, the brand-new insect screen glided open with ease. The wind from the mountains rushed in, filling the room with its subtle scent. Her gaze landed on the snowflake-like petals, and she realized with a start that it was her first time seeing plum blossom flowers up close. The petals were the same shade of white as the tiles in Soyangri Book Kitchen, her shop which was almost ready to open. Behind the trees, the white bedsheets she'd washed and hung outside for their book-stay guests flapped in the breeze. Was the scent from the flowers or the fabric softener? She inhaled deeply and relaxed. Turning away from the windows, her gaze swept over the book café. Being surrounded by bookshelves that took up the entire wall made her feel like she was inside a doll's house of sorts. The LED lights cast a warm glow on the bare shelves, illuminating them like an empty stage. May the smell of books fill this space. She glanced at the A3-sized paper taped to the wall. The floor plan for the book cafe was filled with markings and tiny notes scribbled on the side, reflecting the countless rounds of revision and the careful thought that had gone into it. The crumpled edges gave it a worn look, making it seem out of place when everything else was brand new. Yoojin stretched out a finger and rubbed gently on a penciled scrawl. What had once been just a floor plan and a 3D simulation model on the computer was now the building she was standing in. In addition to the bookshop, which doubled up as a cafe and event space, Soyangri Book Kitchen would also be running a book stay, accommodation for those looking for a getaway from the hustle and bustle of life. Of the 4 two-story buildings it occupied, 3 were guest houses, and the building in which she stood now housed the book cafe, as well as all the staff on the upper floors. From a bird's-eye view, with a garden and a botanical glasshouse in the center, the compound looked like a cross. The book cafe's floor-to-ceiling glass windows offered a panoramic view of the picturesque Soyangri village. Behind the plum blossom trees, one could make out the meandering mountain ridges in the distance. Gazing at their majestic yet gentle curves, Yoojin sometimes wondered if she was living in a dream. As a Seoulite born and raised in the city, Yoojin was more used to tall, sharp-edged skyscrapers, 24-hour convenience stores, chain cafes, a sprawling subway network, and high-rise apartment buildings. Yoojin 누나, come check if we've got this on properly. From outside, Shiwoo called out to her. Okay, 1 second. Yoojin closed the insect screen with one hand and stuffed the tape measure into the front pocket of her apron before hurrying outside. Shiwoo and Hyungjun were holding a 2-meter-long banner across the facade of the coffee kiosk next to the building. Opening soon, Soyangri Book Kitchen, taking reservations from first...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?